let me say a special good morning once again to those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9 on the FM dial. Also, those of you viewing GBN TV, whether you're viewing Channel 7, Channel 11, Channels 20, good morning and welcome. It's Thursday, it's the 5th day of June 2025. It's to the point, I'm your host, GT. And usually on Thursdays, we usually host various departments within the RGPF. Today, we do have the Prosecution Department with us this morning. Let me say good morning and welcome to Corporal Furay. Good morning to Corporal Furay. How are you this morning and welcome?
Good morning. I am fine this morning. It's a pleasure to be here today.
And it's also a pleasure, as always, to have you folks from the RGPF in studio this morning. And this morning, you're representing the Prosecution Department. And if we're to get the ball rolling in terms of the conversation this morning, Prosecution Department. What is the major role of the Prosecution Department?
Okay, the Prosecution Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force, our main role is to present before the Magistrates Court cases, criminal cases. So we represent the state in criminal cases at the Magistrate Court. So we present the facts.
All right, so that's basically it. Whatever facts comes in there, something is committed, you gather the necessary information, and you present it to the
investigation department gathers the information.
The investigation department gathers.
Yes, they will determine. It will send to prosecution department. We will assess the files, scrutinize the files, the investigation done, and see if it's a file that is deserving of lodging before the court, and we will do so.
That's where the determination comes if it goes beyond that point.
Yes.
All right. Understandably so. Now, there are different factors in which the prosecution department functions. I will understand. You did mention, after the files have been turned over to you from the investigation department, then you make a determination. Well, with the evidence that we have obtained, I think we should go move forward.
Sufficient evidence.
It's sufficient enough for you to move forward. If I'm to ask a condition, let's start it off here. After receiving information of that nature, someone is now asking the question, what is bail per se?
Bail is a recognizance or a bond entered into by authorized persons to ensure the appearance of a defendant, a person accused, in court.
All right. How does it get to a level of bail? How does that level get to the level where someone is granted bail? In terms of of course, the explanation you gave before.
Once someone is arrested, they're entitled to bail because a person is innocent until they're proven guilty in court. So what would happen is that they either you get station bail or you get court bail. And what will happen once you're charged, the police officer, the investigator, after dialogue, etc., with the prosecution, will communicate with the magistrate, give the magistrate a brief synopsis with respect to the person that is before them, who is charged, what is the offense they're charged for. The magistrate, now using her discretion, will say the bail amount, how much that person should be granted bail, what the sum would be, and how much person should take the bail. For example, how many sureties. Okay.
You did mention before station bail. How does that function? And I'm probably hearing that terminology for the first time. Station bail. What is a station bail?
Station bail. Okay, when there isn't a risk of a defendant absconding. Okay. Most likely you will get station bail. All right. So if there are persons, for example, for small matters too, you get station bail. You do get at first, even for some big matters like grievous harm, etc., you would get station bail because there isn't a greater risk. Once the police officer and the prosecution is satisfied that there isn't a greater risk of absconding, because the main purpose of bail is really truly to secure the attendance of person in court on the dates in which they should be on the dates in which they should be attending court. So once there isn't that risk, then we'll contact the magistrate for bail and inform the defendant you're on bail in the sum of, be it $4,000 with one surety, $10,000 with two surety. So the bail is done at the station. It's done
at that particular station, so they don't need to go to the court. Now, for it to get to a level of a court matter, that's where you say the defendant now have to have some, maybe obscured from bail, maybe obscured because he may be a flight risk or sort of that, or not showing up in court. That's when it gets to the court matter, I assume.
For it to be for a bail hearing, we call that a bail hearing, where the defendant is brought to court for a hearing. Yes, they must possess some kind of risk of flight or absconding.
All right. Are there types of bails?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, there are basically 3 types of bail. You have cash bail, surety bail, and you can be placed on your own recognizance, your own bail. Cash bail is where you bring forward, and that is at the point of initiating bail, a sum that the magistrate deems fit for the offense that you, and most likely is proportionate, the offense you have committed. So there you bring forward actual cash. With surety bail, however, surety bail is where you bring forward persons who are going to be swearing that they will be taking the responsibility of ensuring that you come to court as a defendant. And if you fail to come to court, and the surety for whatever reason cannot influence or bring you to court, then normally a figure is affixed to that bail. So if failure to do so, you'll forfeit that figure before the court. All right.
Now, I've heard in situations where folks run into problem of that particular nature, being sureties of bail for individual for some reason or the other leaves the island for some reason. What happens to that individual under those circumstances?
The surety
for say.
This is what I want the public to know. Taking bail for someone is very serious. What will happen is most likely you stand the chance of losing the figure, some money, or even your property.
So that's if you do the cash bail, per se.
If you do cash bail, and then based on the quantum, for example, serious offenses, you may have sexual offenses, dangerous harm, might run up to $30,000 or 2 surety or 1 surety. For these figures, you must present some form of title deed to show that you have worth to satisfy the figure, should in case that person abscond and the court demands of you payment for
So another thing of Sarah, maybe there's someone in the public who probably are thinking about that also. Not always is the term the actual cash.
Not always.
You
have surety.
But you become the surety. Someone bail is $10,000, per se, and they say you have to be a surety part of that to make sure that individual returns to court. But doesn't always entail the actual cash, but it will, with some form of you being entitled.
Really and truly, it does surround the cash. Is either upfront or after. But the sole reason is to bring the person there. If you can't, then you lose it either.
Then the cash no will come after it. All right. Because sometimes you hear somebody say, well, I'm on $20,000 bail, so I'm thinking, well, someone has to come up with $20,000 to actually get you out of court. But it's not always that situation.
No, but if you're a defendant who has that figure sitting in the bank, the $20,000, you may prefer to do cash bail as opposed to surety bail. So you will bring forward that cash up front. It will be deposited into the court, and then you'll be released on bail. So you have $30,000, $40,000. Of course, you could take your own bail.
If you possess that.
If you possess. Oftentimes and not, they don't. So.
All right. If I may to ask a question, I'm not sure how authentic it will be. You post the bail, you go through your court matter, you may be found not guilty. Is there, if you do the cash bail, per se?
Yes, you get back your money.
You get back your money.
Every bit.
You will get back your money.
Yes, because it's not a forfeiture, it's not a fine or compensation. That money only becomes in trouble once the defendant doesn't show.
Once the defendant forfeits or forced to leave the island or doesn't attend court or something like that. How many times do an individual may have to forfeit not attending court and so forth for that particular surety to run into problem, as you would say?
It could be the first, and it could be quite a number of times. It all depends on the magistrate.
The severity of the matter also.
And the magistrate's decision.
Okay, it's interesting to know. I want you to explain for me the particular process, what happens. Someone commits a particular crime, maybe, as you said, it could be an offense, it could be, and they got arrested. What is that process that happens after you get arrested?
Part of it is already explained. After you get arrested, application will be made for bail. Because there are some cases, for example, murder, you can't get bail at the magistrate level for murder, treason, and recently added to the 2 firearm offenses. So once you enter magistrate court level, and that's where you meet the police prosecution, once you enter that level, you have to go to high court. You have to make application to high court for bail for these offenses. However, except treason. Treason is for the Governor General solely. So once bail is granted, you're either released, or if there's a threat that you're going to abscond, for example, you have no ties to Grenada. You came here, you live for a period of time, you have no ties, your family doesn't live here, then you're at flight risk. For example, if you have a number of matters in the system already, you're on bail for them, and you commit more offense whilst on bail, you also a danger to the public. If you possess, so there are a number of things to consider. If the magistrate now decides, no, you're a risk, it's not in the best interest of the state that you be granted bail, then you'll be remanded to His Majesty's prison for the duration of the matter until there are changing circumstances. However, that's just one phase with respect to the initiating of the charge. But if you're granted bail, then you'll be given a date in which you should appear in court and the time. You have different courts in the state of Grenada. You have Grenville Magistrate Court, you have Traffic Court, St. George's, Carriacou, Sates, Victoria Golf. You have different courts, so you'll be directed where you have to attend court. Most likely your bail hearing will be in those courts. And after you're given the date, you must return. Your surety, of course, if it's station bail, would be present at if it's station bail at the station. If it's court bail, the surety will be present at the court, and they would sign swearing that it's their obligation to have you here, and they will do so. And you're given that date. If you return, and you expected to return on that date. If you do not return, then a summons go out to the surety. However,
the surety is not expected to be in court with you on a regular basis.
They're not expected, but their obligation is to ensure that you're there.
That you attend court.
Yes. So we have instances where sureties are there and instances where they're not. But if they're not, and you're not, then the court will send for them.
All right. We're due for a break, our first break in this segment. Let's take it when we come back. We continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. We have the Prosecution Department with us this morning, and our conversation is merely in terms of understanding bail and court procedures. You may be someone may have contacted and said, hey, I need you to take my bail. This is where, of course, we try to explain the condition or the procedures that you go through so you'll understand what you're getting into. We'll be right back after the break, folks. Stay with us. Don't touch it down. Stay with us, folks.
The Mass officially starts now as Spice Mass Corporation together with Aura Caribbean is turning up the thing all the way up with Carnival City Fusion Thursdays. It all kicks off on Thursday, May 29th and continues every Thursday into June. We're bringing the vibes to the Port Louis lawn. Gates open 7 p.m. Action starts 8 p.m. Get ready for live performances from your favorite soca, groovy and calypso artists, plus the sweet sounds of steel band, live bands, and all the mass elements you love. Veko, Jab Jab, Shortney, Mokojumbi, Apache, and more. It's more than a line. It's a whole carnival experience. So grab your crew, bring the energy, and come let's celebrate where culture meets pure excitement. Carnival City Fusion Thursdays, Port Louis Lawn, beginning May 29th and continues every Thursday into June. Come, let's play a mass, cause the thing starts.
Yes, Grenada, it's what we've been waiting on. The countdown to the Maggie, King of the Grill. It's back at its legendary home, Montrouge Playing Field. Grand End on Saturday, June the 7th. The Flames return with Grill Masters battling for glory. All the action starts at 12 noon. Then from 6 p.m., we go stateside for live entertainment by the Caress Band. It's food, fun, and flavor, all powered by Maggie. Loads of attraction for the kids, bouncy castle, games, and plenty of fun for the little ones while we indulge in smoky goodness. Don't miss the vibe, the flavor, the fierce competition. King of the Grill 2025 is back and better than ever. It's the King of the Grill 2025. Maggie King of the Grill, brought to you by Maggie. Maggie, the secret of great flavor. Grenada Distillers Limited, makers of Class Code Grenada's #1 rum. Grenada Paper Products, Classic Lightning Caribbean, Grenville Cooperative Credit Union, Budget Foods, where quality and affordability call home. Sandals Resort, Flow, Glenel's Spring Water, Blue Bubbles PA Rentals and Event Supplies, Innovation Grenada Limited, and Rubus, Fuel and Grills in competition. It's the Maggie, King of the Grill 2025. Be there.
Get ready, Grenada. The excitement is building for one of the biggest athletic events of the year. It's the Whitsuntide Games 2025, happening on June 7th and 8th at the iconic Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Come witness the speed and strength from Grenada, Barbados, St. Vincent, Antigua, Guyana, and Trinidad and Tobago as they compete in thrilling track and field events from 9 a.m. sharp. From powerful shot puts to blazing sprints, this is athletic excellence you don't want to miss. Purchase your
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, once again. With me this morning, we have Corporal Furay with me this morning. She's representing the Prosecution Department, and our conversation ranges around understanding bail and court procedures. Corporal Furay, welcome back once again.
Yes.
I want to move on a little bit with our conversation this morning. We spoke a wee bit of what is bail. We spoke the types of bail. We spoke a lot about what happens after you got arrested, the process that you go, the procedure, to see what you go through after. Now, I want you to speak about who has the powers to grant bail. I need bail. I've been arrested. For whatever issues that offense I may have committed, and I need to be bailed. Who has the powers to grant an individual bail?
The judges, magistrates, and in cases where you can't find magistrates, which is seldom, very rare, slim to none actually, you have GPs who would fill in for magistrates should in case a magistrate can't be found. But basically in Grenada, these 3 persons grant bail, and as I indicated for 3 in the Governor General.
All right. How is bail granted per se? What are the procedures that or the understanding individual has to go through in order for bail to be granted to them?
Okay. So the defendants, of course, they're entitled to bail because, as I indicated earlier, initially they're innocent until we could satisfy that they're guilty. However, to be a surety for bail, that's somebody who is capable, who meets the requirement for taking bail. That person should not be a juvenile, of course, not be a child, not that elderly, that because we have to bear in mind life expectancies, etc. That person should be of a clean character, shouldn't have matters in the court system. Clean character in the terms of you're about to swear, we're expected to ensure that your word is accurate. Persons who have matters pending in the system, they do not know their faith as it is, if they're going to be imprisoned, etc. So these are the persons who are not required to take bail. But apart from that, if you're able to take bail, for example, you have a job, you have property, you have good character, then anyone basically can take bail.
Take someone's bail for them.
Yes.
All right. But there's still conditions where somebody have to know the character of the individual that they want to take bail for.
It is wise that you know the character of the individual you intend to take bail for, because you have instances where people just decide defendants decide they're not coming to court, even though the sureties are speaking to them and asking them to come to court, being fully aware that the surety stands a chance of losing quite a bit. So you have to know the character of the person that you're taking bail for, or you put yourself at jeopardy.
Is it also the take into account the offense individual may have been, of course, charged for, and you want to take bail for that person? Is it also of a concern for, especially someone wanting to take someone's bail? Should you have some concern in terms of the offense that particular individual have committed?
That would be up to the surety, of course. Most of them are family members, neighbors. They should be concerned, but at the same time, it's their right to determine if they want to take the bail or not. It's their choice after assessing the circumstances, the nature of the offense, and they come to the conclusion they're going to take bail. Then they have to be mindful of the severity of it, because if the matter is murder, the bail amount would be quite high. So you stand to lose probably a whole house.
It's something that you have to think. You know, sometimes you hear individuals, you know, withholding, they wanting to do that with withholding, wanting to grant, hold bail for people because of the circumstances.
And we understand why.
You understand. It's something that folks should really, you know, give some thought to.
Yes. So you have to meet these.
Sometimes you may know the individual. I know GT, you know.
Yes.
But GT has committed that particular offense. It's not something I want to put my name to.
Yes.
You understand?
And it's not. I'm not saying this to scare the public, but you have to bear in mind too that a person who is charged for certain offenses of severity, the probability exists that they could spend 10, 20, 30 years or more in prison. So you have to weigh everything. Would that person be tempted to abscond?
Yeah.
If that person is tempted, you have to weigh it.
You want to escape from prison and know you because the problem comes to you know.
Yes, but to take on that role as a surety, I will advise the public to be cautious and ensure that you have that figure to stand bail, to put up for bail for the person, because oftentimes you have persons crying after, no, I do not have that money, but initially you said you did, and then you would have brought your court document, your title deeds, etc. to the court and hand it over to the court indicating, this is my worth. And now you're crying because you want your worth for yourself, because someone just decide, I'm leaving you in that situation.
And then your property and whatever finance you may have in the bank
and
stuff.
You have to check on yourself and your family just the same.
All right. A quick question that comes to mind. I have decided I'm going to take X bail. After he have asked me, then after considering I decide I no longer want to do it. Can someone do that?
Yes, you can revoke. The court could revoke bail.
Revoke bail.
A surety could say a surety could appear in court and say.
But he has to go to court.
He has to go to court, and most importantly, the defendant have to be in court too.
Okay.
So on the day you decide you want to withdraw your bail, you bring, if you can, you bring the defendant, or if he's there on his own free will, own volition, then you can say to the court, Your Honor, I wish to withdraw bail. I pondered about it some more, and I realized this is too much for me. It's too risky, whatever the reason you may have. And the court, of course, will consider same and discharge you from being the surety. However, you as a defendant now end up again in the state's custody. You're no longer on bail. Okay. So you have to find other sureties, or you'll be remanded if you can't secure them.
Okay. In instances where it's a station bail, and you took someone's bail via the station, do you have to still go to court?
Same thing.
Still have the same process goes through again. You have to go back to court to have that done.
You have to go to court. You can't go back to the station.
And say, I don't want to take him or her bail anymore.
No, you have to go back to the court.
I've heard instances where somebody say, well, I can take back my bail, but I'm understanding now from you, you have to go back to court. You just can't come to the court.
No, because you signed the agreement. That's a contract.
You know, sometimes you hear conversation with an actual individual. Well, I want to take back my bail.
Yes.
But there's a process that you have to go through for that.
And they should understand the same. Yeah, it's a process. You must go back to the court, and the defendant must be there. If for the life of you really wants to take back the bail, but the defendant is not, you're not going to be released, because initially that is what you signed up for.
Okay, interesting to know that. What could happen if an individual is arrested and has been offered bail but can't afford bail?
He goes to His Majesty's prison, or if the matter is trifling, a small case, for example, obscene language, insulting language, small cases, then you'll be released on your own. The probability exists in the magistrate's discretion. You'll be released on your own recognition. So you sign a document indicating, I am going to come. Okay. And you'll be released.
Right. Language, so that's the only options you have.
Yes.
There. But it depends on the severity of the matter.
Severity, yes.
Of the matter that you've been arrested
At the same time, as I indicated earlier, severity in being some certain, and again in the discretion of the magistrate, in certain big cases, grievous, etc., if you have the monies to put forward for your own bail, you can do so and get cash bail.
All right. Why are these conditions, I would say, to bail? Of course, what are the should I say, what are the Are they putting particular conditions? That's why I should please ask a question that particularly. Why are these conditions so important for bail in some instances? Why are these conditions that you laid out earlier?
Okay, so conditions are important for bail because if the person decide on their own they're not coming to court, then in the interest of justice, what justice with virtual complainants, etc. get? Okay. What justice? It's a crime against the state. Criminal matters really are a crime against the state, even though you're complainants, and the state is indicating you should not be committing any offenses. So if the state utilizes its resources, someone is a flight risk, they abscond, then nothing comes out of serious situations. So you put bail in play. Bail is a measure that was put together to ensure not only justice itself, but due diligence is the law is followed, etc.
All right, so those are the of course the instances where someone is without the conditions, I should say.
But just to add, as you mentioned, there are conditions that are applied to bail.
Okay. Understand. So what are some of these conditions that apply to bail? If I could get that in there also. So
the court may assess the situation, the magistrate having a brief and not going to the facts itself, but just the circumstances surrounding if you would come to court. The magistrate will assess the facts and determine, you know what, the prosecution may ask for some condition, the magistrate may ask for some on their own. This person should be placed on a curfew.
Okay.
A curfew if you're a person that is alleged of committing offenses in the night, the magistrate might say you should be at home between 6 to 6.
They be stealing, so you have to be inside.
Right. You may be asked to relocate if you're a person who have a matter with, for example, a child in the same village.
Okay.
For the interest of the child's safety, they may not be intimidated. You may be ordered to relocate and to stay away from that area until the completion of the case.
Okay.
You may be ordered to not commit, which should be something that you should understand from the inception of bail, but you may be ordered to not to commit any acts of violence.
Okay.
Or you may be ordered to report, so that the police will keep an eye on your reporting conditions in stations.
Because sometimes you do hear them say, you're supposed to come into every 6 o'clock or whatever. You hear these conditions being applied.
Yes, maybe once, twice, or 3 times a week based on the type of offenses. So the conditions varies. It could be more than one. It could be different conditions.
What if someone doesn't follow suit on those conditions that have been put out, especially the instances where you live in a particular community where you may have committed an offense and they ask you to relocate for one of that? What are those? What can occur to you if you not follow the conditions that have been laid out in the bail?
Once it is shown to the court that you're not adhering to your bail conditions, then you place yourself at jeopardy of being remanded into His Majesty's prison.
Right.
Because bail is very serious, and if the magistrate orders you not to do that, then you're basically disrespecting the court, disrespecting the decision of the magistrate, and you, in her or his discretion, may send out a warrant for your arrest once it's proven that you're in that particular area, and you may be remanded to prison.
I asked that question because sometimes you hear someone has been told, well, I should not be communicating with X or Y. That's one of the conditions of my bail.
Yes.
But then you see
have no contact with that individual. That's a condition.
And you see them still in the community. You see them, as we say locally, they're passing and they're giving the other one having conversation with them for, again, may not be a happy conversation, we could say, but they're throwing talk as
once you do that, you're breaching the conditions
of the bail, and that could lead you back into prison.
And what you stated is oftentimes listed on the bail form: have no contact with the witnesses, because the court does not want you to hinder the course of justice just the same.
Interesting to note. We drew for a break once again. Let's take it. When we come back, I want us to talk. We will get into the court procedures a wee bit in the next segment when we come back, and we certainly will give the opportunity to our listeners and viewers. If they do have a question that relates to our conversation too, you can always chime in on us here on today's program. We'll be right back after the break, folks. Stay with us. Don't touch it dial.
Get ready, Grenada. The excitement is building for one of the biggest athletic events of the year. It's the Whitsuntide Games 2025, happening on June 7th and 8th at the iconic Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Come witness the speed and strength from Grenada, Barbados, St. Vincent, Antigua, Guyana, and Trinidad and Tobago as they compete in thrilling track and field events from 9 a.m. sharp, from powerful shot puts to blazing sprints. This is athletic excellence you don't want to miss. Purchase your tickets now from gotofed.com. Main stand $20, main stand finish line $30. Or have the VIP experience at $150 for 1 day or $200 for the 2 days. Mark your calendars, June 7th and 8th, and be there to cheer on greatness. The Whitsuntide Games 2025, where champions emerge.
Hello everyone, I would like to welcome you to come join us next Saturday at King of the Grill. You can sample our wonderful Divine products and many other products that we offer at Budget Food. Again, next Saturday, King of the Grill. See you there.
GBN presents the 2025 Maggie King of the Grill, Saturday, June 7th, Monrouge Plain Field from 11 a.m. Our partners, Maggie, the secret of great flavor, Grenada Distillers Limited, makers of Clark's Court, Grenada's #1 rum, Grenada Paper Products, makers of Cherish, Spring Soft, Harbour Bay, and Super Value Toilet Paper, and Royal, Quick and Easy, and Horizon Paper Towels, Budget Foods Inc., Classic Lighting, and Blue Bubbles PA Rental and Event Supplies. It's the 2025 Maggie King of the Grill, where flavor rules.
It's called the Nature Island of the Caribbean for several good reasons. This event features some icons of the craft, with info on how to become one yourself. Not only is this bank connecting with its partners, it's helping them get even better. Top-rated amenities, St. Lucian style, a marathon at midnight. Yes, it's all next on this station.
Get ready, Grenada. The Maggie King of the Grill is back and bigger than ever. On Saturday, June 7th, Monrouge Plain Field transforms into the ultimate battleground for grill masters. Think you got what it takes? Then fire up those grills and show your skills. Registration closes Friday, April the 11th. So don't miss your chance to compete for that sizzling prize and bragging rights. It's food, fun, and flavor, all powered by Maggie. To register, call 407-8458. Maggie King of the Grill, where flavor rules. See you there.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. Once again, it's To The Point for today, Thursday, the 5th day of June. We have with us this morning the Prosecution Department of the RGPF. Of course, we have Corporal Furay with me this morning. And we're talking understanding bail and court procedures. So, as mentioned before the break, Corporal Furay, welcome back. As mentioned before the break, I did mention the option of course, give us a bit of the process that has to go through for the court. Talk to me about the court procedure just a wee bit.
Well,
after the bail is granted, I'm assuming you've been summoned to come to court and all of these things. Let me not give the whole procedure. It may sound like if I did the process already.
You seem to be quite au fait. Okay, so yes, initiating, it begins with the lodging of a case file. Bail may be granted at the time of the lodging of the case file. That will be if it's station bail. Okay. But after the bail is granted now, a defendant may request the option to have an attorney present. He may be given that's if he's brought to court on the first hearing as soon as possible. Okay. If he was granted bail at the station, then he may, in the interim, leading up to the time of his court hearing, find a solicitor or a lawyer, communicate with them for proper representation, or they may opt to represent themselves.
Okay.
So once you enter the court, then you have the arraignment or the charge being read to the defendant. He may opt to plead guilty, which makes this process very easy because then you just read out the facts to the court and the magistrate do sentencing after there will be a mitigation by the defense counsel, or he may opt to plead not guilty, and then there we have disclosure being given to the defendant. That's everything we have against the defendant, so that he can prepare for his hearing. The magistrate may give him the opportunity to prepare by an adjournment, him and his lawyer, and they will come back on the next occasion where we'll have a trial. A trial, the prosecution will bring forward their witnesses. The witnesses, they'll lead evidence from the witnesses, and then they'll close their case. Throughout the leading of evidence, the defendant will get the opportunity, defendant or his counsel will get the opportunity to question, cross-examine all the evidence that was led. Basically, you're looking for holes, so you want to show your case, more weaknesses. And after that, the defense will get the opportunity to bring forward their case. The defendant may opt to remain silent. This is his right. He may opt to go on the stand and give sworn evidence in the witness box, or he may opt to give evidence in the prisoner's dock. There it's unsworn, so the magistrate would weigh that. Both now the lawyer and the prosecution will do their closing submission, pointing out weaknesses and strengths in the cases, and the magistrate will then probably, if she's not ready at the time, adjourn for decision or do decision at the same time, and a fine could be done at the same time if the person is found guilty. Fine, compensation, imprisonment, whatever the magistrate, suspended sentence, whatever the magistrate sees fit in accordance with the law. If the person is found not guilty, they'll be acquitted. That's basically the process.
Yes. It sounds simple in terms of how you bring it across, but it's still not as simple.
No, because we're dealing with law.
All right. Now, I fail to appear in court. What happens?
But you could be brought to court. We're dealing with bail, but you could be brought to court by summons also, and that is basically in small cases. So if it's by summons, then another summons will go out for you. Once you're served and you fail to appear in court, then a bench warrant will go out, or a warrant to arrest will go out, and there the police now will be armed with this document to bring you before the court against you.
What is it that the police or whoever has to serve me that summons cannot find me?
If they cannot find you,
my court is tomorrow, but they've been looking for me for weeks. They can't find me. What happens there?
The matter may come up in court again, and the magistrate will issue a next summons. Or based on how often the matter comes up, she may make a determination. If it's a couple of times and you really can't find that person. But as I said, if it's pertaining, summons is different. On the other hand, if it's pertaining to bail, the surety gets involved. But if it's just summons, then we're at a difficulty of locating it. It's the police.
Let's say a simple procedure as a traffic ticket, and you've been summoned to come to court, and you can't be found. What happens to that particular matter with the court?
Most traffic matters are summons, quasi-criminal matters. Most of them are summons. So if the magistrate, in her discretion, may dispose of the matter, if it's for a period of time you can't be found, she may have how much time she has a limit as to how long she wants to keep this matter in the system. But if you're found, then you have to come to court. But if you can't be found, you'll have reissuing of summons until the police will find.
Until you are found and taken to court.
Or a decision made by the magistrate.
435-2041, 435-2041, that's a number. If you do have a question that you may like to ask, of course, ask Corporal Furay. In relation to our conversation this morning, you probably has helped someone with bail, and you having some thought in terms of the process, or you want to understand the court procedure. You may have an issue coming up, so you just want to know a little bit of the know-how. I think Corporal Furay, of course, will be able to, so of course, help you with that. Still on the court procedure and court appearance, from time to time, I think we do have a caller. Let's take the caller before I get my question in. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
A pleasant good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
In the case where someone, whether we call stand security for somebody has done a wrong, they're arrested and all right, and that person, the offender, decides to skip the aisle and he can't be found, what would happen to the person who stood bail for that person?
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Corporal Furay?
But what would happen, sir, is if you take bail for that person and that person can't be found, then you stand a chance of losing the money that is specified, the amount that is specified on the bail. Yeah. Be it $1,000, whatever amount that your bail form has, then you would be at risk of losing that before the court because you decided to put that up for surety for the call for the defendant. You decided to put that sum at risk.
All right. And as you did mention previously, if you did sign to $20,000 bail,
yes.
You had the option of your property being used as way of getting that individual bail. No, all of that comes into play there right now. We do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Let's assume you stand bail for someone, and the case is supposed to be called at a particular date. And the person came to the court, and the magistrate sees it fit. I don't know what does that mean. To put the case for another date. Do you believe or do you know that if the person that stands the bail has the responsibility, has any more responsibility, sin that he might have encouraged the person to come to court, and the magistrate didn't complete the case, tell me what is likely to happen to the person's money.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yes, you understand the caller's question?
What I want persons to understand is once you take bail, it is not for only one instance in court. It's you take bail to ensure the appearance of the defendant until the completion of the matter in court. Yeah. So the matter may be brought to court for 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. It may be brought up in court. It could be for 2 years, 3 years, because
that obligation is still there.
Your obligation to ensure the defendant appear in court is still there. And there are a number of reasons why a magistrate may decide we can't continue with this matter today. There are procedures that need to be followed, summonses that need to be served, persons that need to attend court. So there are a number of reasons why a matter could be adjourned. It could be time constraint because we have several matters for the day. We do not have more time to deal with another one. So your obligation, and I think that would be explained on inception, is to ensure that the defendant appears there for all hearing until the completion of the matter. Mm-hmm. So it's not for you bring them to court on the first instance. You bring them to court on every instance.
Make sure they attend.
Yes.
Once the matter has not been concluded,
yes.
you still have the
obligation.
The obligation is still there.
Ensure that the defendant, the accused person, appears in court.
What if the instance someone feel, well, I've been attending court for the last 2 years, mm-hmm. my matter constantly gets adjourned mm-hmm. for whatever reason, so I'm not going again. What happens there?
You can't do that. Well, yes, you will be, a warrant will be sent out for your arrest, mm-hmm. and having this, the magistrate is a question that is always asked. Yeah. What was your reason for being absent on the last occasion? And if your reason doesn't satisfy the court, you risk your chance of being free.
All right. We do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning and welcome.
Hi, good morning, GP, and good morning to the Corporal with you there. Listen, I have a business proposal for somebody. They could introduce what we call anchor bracelet. The government is asking for private partnership relationship. When you introduce that anchor bracelet or monitoring system, wherever the person on bail goes, it is well monitored. It's a business initiative for somebody. I hope somebody is listening, and there's money to be made in that regard. Have a good one.
Thank you, caller. Thank you. I guess you understand what
interesting suggestion.
So it's a business decision. Someone is sending a question here via the WhatsApp, and they asked them this question. They said it's a little bit, which they don't understand our topic is on bail, and the person saying, The public tends to believe that when a police officer is charged for an offense, whether it's serious or minor, the police tends to deal with it differently. For example, you hear sentiments such as, the police is for police, nothing is coming out of that. In that context, can you please elaborate on that a bit for us in relation to that particular procedure? On if you understand. They said they know we're talking on bail, but they just want a little bit of clarification on that particular issue. Well,
police officers, like every other civilian in the country, are entitled to their liberty, yes, constitutionally, and they're entitled to be like every other person. Should in case, in the very, very few cases, should in case they end up alleged of having committed some infraction of the law. So what will happen? We do have this misconception because police aren't the ones that are giving bail. Yeah. Bail, as a matter of fact, in most cases where a police commits or is alleged of committing some infraction of the law, most of these cases are done by the Director of Public Prosecution, the DPP's office, not police officers. So they have this misconception that, and the matter is brought before the court where the magistrate and the judge, in their own discretion, determine, based on the circumstances surrounding the bail hearing, that this person is fitting for bail. Police officers, it appears somewhat slanderous, but police officers are not involved in saying, no, he must be given bail.
Because
he's a police officer. The decision is the magistrate and the judge, and oftentimes the police really are not involved in dealing with police cases. What is interesting to note is that they do bring charges. Yeah. So how do we tie this to say the police officer is the one, it is treated differently?
I mean, you just understand the public perception that individuals may have in relation to that. Because he's a police, he's given bail, but it's not really up to the police.
No, it's not the police decision. Right. The magistrates, and most police cases are heard in court, are brought to court not by police prosecution. The DPP deals with them. Okay, great. Let's go to another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Good morning, Jay, and good morning to your guest.
Good morning to you, sir.
Now, it seems like the prosecutor is encouraging people not to go and take people bail. But I do believe that when somebody's in trouble and they seek bail, people should try to help them out by taking their bail. The question I want to ask the prosecutor is that if I take somebody's bail and I have to go and encourage them to go to court, how powerful is that bench warrant? Because it seems like the system have this clause where you have a bench warrant. If someone not coming to court, they can pick you up and bring you to court. So why would an individual have to go and beg somebody to go to court if they're not going to court? That's one question. I want to differ just a little bit. Now, I want to give me a little heads up on that. If I go to a shop and order for items, me and the shopkeeper do have no agreement of paying later or agreement of trusting. I just order for the item and I leave and I go. What heading of crime that crime fall under? What heading? Is that a criminal or a civil matter? Have a nice day.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Well,
I guess you get the...
if you didn't leave with the item, it doesn't... You order the items. If that's what you're saying, you order the items and you just leave and go. You didn't go with the item. So there's
stealing, right? It's considered...
There isn't an offense if you didn't go with the item.
If you didn't go with it. But once you leave with the item...
If you leave with the items and you didn't pay for the items, it's stealing.
It's stealing.
Yes.
All right. But he's asking if it's a criminal... Well, more like it's a criminal.
It's a criminal offense if you go with the item without paying for the item.
Okay. And the first question was...
Yes, he did indicate. But first, I want you to know that my aim is not really to say no, do not go after bail. My aim is do not be a surety. My aim is for you to understand the severity of being a surety. Somewhere along the way, I missed the latter part of what he was saying.
I think I also something to. But we drew for a break. Let's take it. It will be our final break in the program. When we come back, we still, of course, will accept your calls and we still continue the conversation until we get to the top of the hour. Stay with us, folks. To the point. Classic Radio GBN TV. We'll be right back. Don't touch it out. Look.
Yes, Grenada. Grenada, it's what we've been waiting on. The countdown to the Maggie, King of the Grill. It's back at his legendary home, Rouge Playing Field. Grand Dance on Saturday, June the 7th. The Flames return with Grill Masters battling for glory. All the action starts at 12 noon. Then from 6 p.m., we go stateside for live entertainment by the Caress Band. It's food, fun, and flavor, all powered by Maggie. Loads of attraction for the kids, bouncy castle, games, and plenty of fun for the little ones while we indulge in smoky goodness. Don't miss the vibe, the flavor, the fierce competition. King of the Grill 2025 is back and better than ever. It's the King of the Grill 2025. Maggie King of the Grill, brought to you by Maggie, the secret of great flavor. Grenada Distillers Limited, makers of Class Code, Grenada's #1 rum. Grenada Paper Products, Classic Lightning Caribbean, Grenville Cooperative Credit Union, Budget Foods, where quality and affordability call home. Sandals Resort, Flow, Glen Spring Water, Blue Bubbles PA Rentals and Event Supplies, Innovation Grenada Limited, and Rubus, Fuel and Grills in competition. It's the Maggie King of the Grill 2025. Be there.
Coming up, it's called the Nature Island of the Caribbean for several good reasons. This event features some icons of the craft, with info on how to become one yourself. Not only is this bank connecting with its partners, it's helping them get even better. Top-rated amenities, St. Lucian style, a marathon at midnight. Yes, it's all next on this station.
Like a freestyle, the life block flowing mile by mile. It's legacy, a beat that don't stop like Bob Marley say. One love on top, DCUH water out of sight, but it's always wrong, don't lose the light. From factories and wells so deep, cut off mangroves and fish they weep. Green water for the garden, keep it green. Save the cash and the earth gets clean. We use the water with a mindful mind. It's out of sight but never far behind. In nature, the answers always flow. Like water running pure, the cycle grows. It renews itself, same drop, same beat. It's all good, man, you got the heat. Water flow. No clean water, no vibes they grow. Protect our water, protect our future.
Time to go.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point. Classic Radio GBN TV. We're moving up to 7 minutes before the top of the hour this morning. The lines are still open. We have, of course, Corporal Furay with me this morning, and she's part of the Prosecution Department. And we're talking about understanding bail and court procedure. Corporal Furay, we did get to a nudge in terms of the question from the previous caller, and you really wanted to explain that just to get that bit of information over there.
Yes, he was indicating initially he doesn't see the reason for the surety when you could easily do an arrest warrant and the police go find the accused person. Yeah. But there's a reason why the surety, there is a measure for bail. There's a reason why bail is put into place. Okay. You don't want to have to waste the state resources to have to go finding sureties all over the place. It will be quite costly, etc. As a result, this measure was put in place to have you, people, family, loved ones, neighbors, etc., who have close ties, etc., with the accused. You go there and ensure that they're here. So it's an obligation and it's a contract that you put yourself in saying that you would do. So therefore, the state resources even though it does come into play, it should not really be that effective when you're the one who indicated, I am going to have this person here.
Okay, understandable. So, hope the caller do understand. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Well, Jay, I was just going to call back to ask the same question. But
okay, but we did remember it after that. Thanks once again.
I was just trying one another on the line. No, not for individual that have been in that court system for 3 years, and the accuser never came to court. And the individual was there in the court system for 3 years before the judge saw the case. So why are we having cases in the system that individual go and bring up somebody and never attend court, and the case remain there for all this long time? Why? Have a nice day.
Thank you, caller. Thank you. You want to respond to it?
Well, really and truly, after the matter spends a particular time in court and the difficulty, well, I can't speak for the witness as to why they don't come back to court, but the magistrate have the discretion to say it has been here too long and we're going to dispose of it. 3 years, whatever amount of time she deems fit.
All right.
Based on the case.
Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome. Let's hear from you. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. I'm not sure why we're not hearing the caller. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. WhatsApp caller. Good morning. All right, they probably have an issue there with the WhatsApp for some reason. Did heard innocent mention, but I didn't get to check that as yet. Let's try it again. Let's try it again. WhatsApp caller, you're live. Good morning. WhatsApp caller, good morning. Well, there's an issue with the WhatsApp there. That has to be sorted out. So, Corporal Furay, anything else we may have missed this morning that you may want to re-highlight or re-highlight, or be spoken about, you want to re-highlight it again, or anything we have missed you want to add to the conversation?
Well, we did a very good job really at explaining what bail is and the importance of bail. What I would advise the public to do is engage the prosecution. You can contact us on 440-3260 with any queries, any issues, any complaints. We do have quite a number of process for persons, summons. If you're aware that you have matters in court, instead of waiting for the police, you would have been the complainants who went and gave a statement requesting court action. Instead of waiting for the police, you contact prosecution on the number I just gave. Make things quite easier. It saves time. If you know you're accused, you want to find out some information, you too will call the police. So engage with prosecution department on 440-3260 to make the process more effective.
All right, we do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Maybe our final caller for the morning. You're live. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning, GT. How are you?
Not bad. Go right ahead, please.
Good morning, Corporal Furay.
Good morning.
Yeah, my question is, as it relates to the bail and the surety, in the serious offences where the surety is entitled to present deed, for example, deed, a piece of deed for the land, what does the police really take? They take the original deed, or does they take a photocopy of the deed?
Really and truly, it should be the original deed. You know, like if you're going to a bank, you're putting up that for collateral. It should be the original deed. However, at times they do take copies.
Okay. 435-2041. We still have just about 2 more minutes. If a call really come really quickly, we'll entertain it, or we certainly will have to take a wrap for today's, of course, program. Corporal Furay, once again, it's a pleasure having you in the studio. I think as you mentioned before, I think we did explain it, of course, properly in terms of, the procedure for bail, what happens when you have to get arrested, the court procedure and so forth. So I hope folks have a clear understanding the situation they're getting themselves into. If you decide to take someone bail, it's not telling someone don't do it.
No.
But it's something, it's a decision that you're making that make sure that you understand what you're doing.
The severity
of taking someone's bail and what problems could occur if that individual decides, hey, I'm not going to show up at court or
you're at risk. We encourage you to do so, but just ensure that you have the figure put away and that you do not jeopardize yourself, that you on your own, risking your own liberty.
All right. Corporal Furay, I want to thank you once again, and of course say good morning to all the other folks at the Prosecution Department.
I will.
And I certainly hope everyone will have a great day.
I'm quite sure they're hearing you.
Hey folks, that's it. We're going to take a wrap for today's edition of To The Point. I want to thank all who sat at home and of course were able to understand the procedures in terms of bail and court procedures, and certainly will make proper use of the information this morning. Until we have another edition of To The Point, that's where we say goodbye. Have yourself a great day. I'll be with you tomorrow once again. Goodbye, folks.